and welcome to Womanity Africa on TOS TV network, where we discuss women-related issues. This episode focuses on coping with mental health disorders as a woman. I am Falset Bellu. Statistics for women's mental health have said 1 in 5 women, 19%, experience a common mental disorder such as anxiety or depression, compared with 1 in 8, 12% of men. The World Health Organization also reported that depression is more common among females, 5.1%, than males, 3.6%. The triggers for mental health disorders in women may, however, range from internal symptoms such as changes in ovarian hormones to their individual personal experiences. The big question now is, how can we as women cope with mental health disorders?
Why I was depressed, there were issues that brought about that. The environment was something that I was having mockery, a lot of issues like that. So what I did is I relocated to a different environment. Through that, I met new people, knew everything. So and I noticed that at the end of the day, I regained myself once I knew that I was now okay. And I started what I wanted for my life.
I have experienced that. I think it was at early age of childhood. It wasn't really going well for me. As a child, I always wanted to have my achievement and also the age range and all that. So it happened that it wasn't working for me. At a point, I got depressed. I almost committed suicide, really, but I had to speak to someone. I had low self-esteem. I couldn't relate well with my peers. I couldn't relate well with my colleagues, though I was working at that point, trying to go into, university, but still I was not comfortable because everything was not working. Seeing younger ones going to university, I'm still just one place.
I had postpartum depression when I was pregnant at around 8-9 months, So it was a really tough time. I couldn't go anywhere. The pregnancy, everything was just getting in on me. So in fact, any little call, if you should call me, I tend to pounce on people. I tend to be more, I tend to be aggressive. I tend to be angry for no reason, So yes, it really affected my relationship, but my loved ones, mom, they helped me manage it.
I've experienced anxiety a couple of times, especially being an adult, the struggle of trying to make a living, trying to find your purpose, not knowing how you will end in life and all that.
Times when I feel anxious, probably before my exams, or most of the time when I'm supposed to go on stage, maybe when I'm asked to sing in front of people. I don't know, I just don't feel like I'll do better. Something I've prepared for, I've spent maybe all my night preparing for the next day. Then I just get to see people's face, I just get really scared. I don't know, but at the end of it, you just be like, what's the worst that can happen? No one will kill you. Even if you try, you don't try, you pick up from there. Probably you'll do better next time.
For people out there that are undergoing depression is very real. I'm a victim of it, and I came out strong in it. If I don't tell someone that I've encountered depression, nobody will know. So what I will advise anybody that is depressed, 1, don't lose up on your dreams, your vision, your goals, you understand? Importantly, God plays a very important role. Your relationship with God matters. It is what will bring you out easily. And secondly, once I said something that don't lose vision on your dreams. Once that vision is very strong in you, you understand? You just have to pick up the pieces of yourself, put it together, and kickstart.
How I overcame my depression was talking to someone who understood where I am coming from, and at a point gave a helping hand to me. And really, I would say that was also my motivation, because where I am today, I am so happy that I was able to speak to someone.
Reach out to people, don't be alone. Reach out to people, talk to your family, talk to your friends. I sincerely advise not to be alone. Don't be alone, it worsens it. It worsens. Just talk to people, go out if you can. Go to the mall, go to the beach, go to a social gathering, it will help.
Now that we've heard the different experiences of some women, here in the studio is Miss Faith Wia, a psychologist with whom we'll share more knowledge on the topic of discussion. You're welcome to the studio, Miss Faith.
Thank you so much.
So what can you define mental health disorders as in your own terms?
Okay, mental health disorders are conditions that can affect our feelings, emotions, and even behaviors.
So what are the most causes of anxiety or depression in women? Because we know there are different types of mental disorders. So we're focusing on depression and anxiety right now.
So it varies. For anxiety and depression, they all have different causes, but the common one and the most prevalent one is hormones. So as women, we tend to have a lot of hormonal changes. When you're on your period, when you're pregnant, postpartum or prepartum, your hormones tend to change, estrogens, and they tend to become higher or lower. It can trigger depression or anxiety. There are other causes of these conditions like genetics. Now, studies have shown that in families whereby women experience depression more, then you as a female in that family will most likely come down later with depression too. Other causes could be substance use. So substance use in women like alcohol, it could trigger depression for them. Then we have trauma. It could be post-traumatic stress disorder. Women, they tend to tag us as the emotional ones, yes. So we tend to keep a lot of trauma. It could be from an abuse, it could be from sexual abuse, domestic violence. So we tend to keep all this trauma in us, and then it turns to post-traumatic stress disorder, and then it tends to manifest in form of depression or anxiety. There are a lot of causes of anxiety. I think one common one that people do not even talk about, and when I see it happening to fellow women, I'm just laughing. When you're constantly waiting for a text from a man, a man you like, you're constantly waiting for that text, you're constantly checking whether he posted, you're constantly on his social media page. It's just all about him, and you're just constantly waiting. When you send him a message, immediately your heart starts to beat in anticipation for his reply. It starts like that. It's anxiety you're experiencing, and the more you keep practicing that, the more it keeps manifesting until it becomes a full-blown disorder, that it gets to a point that if you do not get a reply from this man you're texting within a period of time, you have a panic disorder, you have a panic attack. Yes. So there are a lot of causes, and it varies to individuals. It could be caused by society. For example, depression now, it could be the environment you grew up. It could be you grew up with the feelings of lack of love, negligence. You grew up with people always blaming you, people always shaming you, and so many factors. It could be in school. You are not really one of the brightest students, and then you always felt left behind, or you're always isolated. There are a lot of factors which we cannot even cover that can cause anxiety and depression amongst women, but I've highlighted the major ones.
So most studies have shown that women experience depression and anxiety more than men. Why do you think depression and anxiety is more prevalent among women?
It links to the answer I gave earlier, our hormones. So we have those hormones we have the hormones that are affected, that can affect our moods. So we have, for example, let me give the example everyone can relate to. When you're on your period, you have mood swings. 1 minute you feel irritated by everyone. You do not want to talk to anyone. You just want to be alone. And then you feel so sad, and you're craving, I like to call it craving for love. You want someone to tell you how much they love you, how much they care about you. You want to hear those good things. And then sometimes, even after your periods, if you haven't managed those symptoms of feelings well during your period, it can extend and continue. So if it continues afterwards, then it has turned to a mental disorder. But then if it happens just during your period or while you're pregnant, then you know, okay, it's something that will pass with time.
How can a woman look after her mental health? Sorry.
Firstly, I always like to say you need to be aware, because if you're not aware, if you're not self-conscious, then you won't even know when you're experiencing these things. So let me talk of those that now have the depression as a disorder and anxiety as a disorder. Firstly, you need to see a professional. You need to work with a professional. Sometimes, depending on the case and the severity of the disorder, it might need to be treated with medications, which is prescribed by a psychiatrist. But if the severity isn't at the level where it needs medication to be treated, you would need to work with a psychologist, a clinical psychologist.
To wrap this up, what advice can you give to any woman living with depression and anxiety? How can they cope within their own comfort zones?
First is to accept it. Second is to evaluate it. Now, accepting it, I'm not saying you should accept it like, oh, I'm always going to be depressed. Accepting is, oh, I realize I'm in awareness of these feelings I'm experiencing. And then evaluating it is, oh, what can I do to help myself? So you now consciously start to surround yourself with people that make you happy. So you know that, okay, when I start to feel like this and I go out to play basketball, I go out to swim, it makes me feel better. Or my hobby is dancing or singing or cooking. I find people who say baking is therapeutic for them. So they mess the whole house up because they were feeling sad and then they needed to bake. There are people who do makeup to make themselves feel better. So find that act that is therapeutic. For anxiety is different, because anxiety is like intense fear you feel or worry over something. You need to learn how to control your emotions. You need to learn to take a pause. So when you start feeling that anxiety, breathing is the best therapy I can give to you. Meditation, learn meditation. If you're a woman going through anxiety, learn meditation, practice yoga. And then when you start to have these feelings, you slowly breathe it in and out until you can find your peace and calm.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you too for having me.
So, mental health disorders can affect your daily activities, relationships, and physical health. Hence, looking after your mental health is paramount and will help preserve your ability to enjoy life. And this is how we wrap it here. Please don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Our website is www.tostvnetwork.com. Till we come your way again next week, I am Fausat Bellu.